Hey everyone, back into today's second video. We've got the CFS 6 months look ahead sitting just underneath the video here, this video on the homepage. Check that out if you want to see what the CFS model is seeing from February through to July. It's just for fun, the chart's best, so we might as well use them, but don't take that seriously. I suppose the first couple of months, February, March, is more reliable really. In theory, it should be anyway, though I don't think the CFS is a particularly good model, but it's more reliable in the first couple of months anyway. But as you go out sort of to 4, 5, 6 months away, very uncertain by the time you get through to that sort of time frame. So it's just for fun, but if you want to see it, it's underneath this video here on the homepage, so check it out. This video is going to be having a look at the weather for the next 8 to 10 days, also having a bit of a look at the chance of some snow in the coming few days, and also some very interesting charts showing up now in terms of the stratosphere over the North Pole. And I'll show you that in a moment as well. Before I get on with all of that, though, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on most of the pages at gaslippers.com. Have a browse through the widgets. If there's any articles that you're interested in, just click through the ad, go off and read those articles. Thanks very much for doing that. It's helping to pay the website, so thanks for getting involved. Thanks for doing that. Just want to start off with the precipitation type forecast this coming week from theweatheroutlook.com. It's turning colder at the moment. It's a colder day across many parts of the country than it was yesterday. It'll be colder still tomorrow. And then we bring in a weather system from the Atlantic on Tuesday. I'll probably have a more detailed look at this on the Snowwatch page this evening, actually. But just to quickly run through and show what the latest one of the GFS wants to do with this system on Tuesday. Well, here it is. It's coming into the west at 9 o'clock in the morning, bringing outbreaks of rain across the island, just coming onto the western side of the country. And then that pushes eastwards through the course of Tuesday itself. This is midday. This is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see there is precipitation coming through. Scotland and Northern England indicate to have snow. A bit of a wintry mix across Wales, then rain coming in towards the West Midlands. That carries on eastwards, stays as snow across Northern England. Some quite significant snow being indicated there across Northern England. Elsewhere, it's further south, it's likely to be rain. But you notice from this, but away from this vibrant colour over Northern England, where there could be some quite heavy snow, generally it's very light stuff coming through on Tuesday, and that is really the reason that it's just going to be sort of light rain, patchy rain, drizzly bits and pieces coming through across central southern parts of England and Wales. The precipitation isn't really heavy enough to do anything significant. Away from Northern England, it does look a little bit more significant there across Northern England. Parts of northern north-east England indicate to have snow probably throughout most of the day on Tuesday. That could give quite a covering in some northern and northeastern parts by the end of the day. Now let's take us up to 3 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. We're bringing another system in. This is the actual area of low pressure. The first system was a weather front that's going to be coming in ahead of the low pressure. This coming in across the west at 3 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday is an actual area of low pressure moving down from Greenland and Iceland across the country. So that pushes in as we go through Wednesday, and this has got heavier precipitation with it, so the potential, as I was explaining on the Snowwatch update last night, the potential is there for a more significant fall of snow really on Wednesday, because the precipitation is heavier. It will allow the atmosphere to cool down through evaporative cooling and could push things onto the side of snow rather than rain. So at 9 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, we've got this weather front or area of low pressure producing a band of rain and snow across western parts of the country. Quite heavy snow being indicated there across Wales. Excuse me. And then let's go through the morning up to midday on Wednesday. That snow could start to push in towards the Midlands, perhaps giving some snow fall there. Going through to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there could be some snow there across parts of the Midlands. Again, it's not tremendously heavy, but there could be enough there to produce a covering. And certainly through the Midlands, it looks like it could be quite a snowy afternoon on Wednesday. This is taking us up to 6 o'clock in the evening, and you see that the suggestion is there for snow to be probably not all that heavy, but on and off throughout most of the afternoon through there. And then things get even more interesting, go through into the evening with chances of some snow turning up around London. That is very close, that pink blob, to London. So even down in the southeast, there could be some snow coming through. But it really looks like it's Wales and the Midlands that could get quite a covering of snow through the course of Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening. Then going up to 3 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, that snow risk is starting to push away as it all begins to fizzle out, so it's pushing off towards the eastern coast. But there's a good few hours of potential snow there on Wednesday across, particularly Wales and the Midlands, I think, is sort of area that could be most at risk from a fairly good covering of snow by the end of Wednesday. And the risk does extend down into the east and the southeast as we go through into Wednesday evening. Now, this is all outside of the time frame of the high resolution model, so we won't know much more until probably tomorrow, when this starts to come into the time frame of the high res models. But certainly at this stage, it looks like Wednesday could be the day when something quite significant starts to occur. Now, talking of something significant occurring, let's have a look at what's going on up in the stratosphere. And we've got a very interesting stratospheric forecast from a GFS model appearing today. It was on the midnight run, it's updated to the 6 o'clock run, and it's still showing this. As we get through to the start of February, this is a long way out, we could start getting a sudden stratospheric warming. You have had warmings in the stratosphere over the North Pole over the last few weeks, of course. They haven't been sudden stratospheric warmings. They have been fairly significant warmings, but this one looks like it could be very, very significant if it comes off. So here we are at 192 hours on the 26th of January, and just again a minor warming sort of infiltrating into the pole, nothing tremendously exciting going on up to the end of January. Now keep an eye on what's going on around here over towards Siberia. The temperatures there are going up as we move through into the 29th of January. Still a relatively cold stratosphere, though, across much of the North Pole. But as we extend out beyond that into the start of February, look how these colours suddenly shoot up. And they're the red colours appearing there across Siberia. That is very significant warming occurring in the stratosphere over North Pole. When these red colours turn up, that really is signs that a sudden stratospheric warming is going on. In the space of a couple of days, the temperature's gone up something like 20, 30, 40 degrees there in the stratosphere over the North Pole. That is proper sudden stratospheric warming type temperatures. As we move through, we see that warming increases and pushes in towards the pole at 384 hours away, which is the 3rd of February. That warming is infiltrating into the North Pole. If that did come off, I think this would be the death knell, really, to this cold stratosphere that we've had over the top of the pole for most of this winter. That would be a very, very significant warming, and it would probably kill off the polar vortex, at least for a time, and you would expect some very significant blocking potentially to occur from this, because when you get the warming in the stratosphere, I explained it in other videos, when you get warming in the stratosphere, eventually that warming propagates down into the troposphere. When it gets to the troposphere, the wedge of warm air starts to create blocking areas of high pressure. I'm going to show you the chart for the 5th of January 2013, the sudden stratospheric warming that changed completely the complexion of the winter of 2012-2013. This is the sudden stratospheric warming that's going on the 5th of January 2013, and you can see it's very similar. Actually, it's coming from the Siberian side. We're up into those red colours, which is indicating temperatures really going very warm indeed in the stratosphere at the top of the pole. If we go back to what the GFS is forecasting for the start of February, perhaps it's not quite as big, covering quite as big an area at that point, but this would expand, of course, in the days following. But certainly in terms of the temperature, very similar temperatures really there, with the core of the warming on the 5th of February coming from Siberia into the North Pole. And what we've also got going in our favour this year is that the cold air in the stratosphere, the cold stratosphere over top of the pole, isn't as cold as it was at the start of 2013, because we've already had these minor warmings that have sort of been pushing the cold air around and sort of trying to kill it off. So we're not starting from such a cold position as we was in 2013. But nevertheless, very similar the way those two warmings are occurring. The one that's forecast to occur this year at the start of February, and the one that happened at the start of January, coming from the Siberian side. temperatures going up into those red categories, that's a very significant stratospheric warming that is being indicated by the start of February. Now, as I say, this is right at the extended range of the GFS model. This is 384 hours away, this final chart. And of course, the stratospheric charts are as unreliable as all the other charts, really, at that sort of time frame. So we're just going to have to monitor it, see if it comes off. It does look significant, and it would tie in with the idea of the colder February. I've had this in with the winter forecast some time that could have a cold February, although on the CFS 6 months look ahead, if you watch that, there's no real indication from the CFS model that we're going to have a cold February, but that model does chop and change a lot. I don't rate it all that high, although I use it quite a lot because there's so much information you can get from it. You have to take its predictions really with a bit of a pinch of salt. The JMA, of course, is also going for a cold or a very blocked, anyway, February. This stratospheric one that the GFS is picking up on for the start of February would tie in potentially with a much colder and much more blocked February. Now, just quickly going back to the next week to 10 days, things looking quite interesting there as well. The idea yesterday, if you watched the weekend forecast yesterday, or read the written version, was that as we get to the end of this coming week and into next weekend, we're going to infiltrate much milder air off the Atlantic. Now it looks like the mild Atlantic air is going to have a real struggle to get in. So I'll just show you these charts of the GFS and the ECM for the next week to 10 days. Here we are on Wednesday with this area of low pressure coming down across the country. That's one that could give us a risk of snow on Wednesday. That pushes down into France as we go through into Thursday, putting in these cold easterly winds. That's an unusual trap, by the way, for low pressure to be taking. This is often a sign that something's going on in the atmosphere, but the atmosphere is becoming quite different, or quite unstable in some ways, deviating from what you would normally expect, because when low pressure starts to push down into Europe from Greenland and Iceland, it's an unusual path for that to take, and often many of the big cold spells that we get in the British Isles are triggered by this sort of low pressure sinking down across the country and out in towards Europe. But let's not go off on too much of a tangent. Let's carry on and see what it's showing for the next week to 10 days. Here we are on Thursday then. The low pressure is pushing down into France, putting in those easy winds on its backside. As we go through in towards the end of it, this is for Friday, this is when the Atlantic was yesterday being forecast to infiltrate through. Now we do have another weather system coming in trying to bring in that milder Atlantic air, but notice this high pressure up over Scandinavia backing into western parts of Russia. That's holding things up, and that low pressure sort of just slinks away really to the south. It comes in on Friday, grinds to a halt, and then slips away as we go through into Saturday. That could bring the risk of more snow, but it's probably more likely to be rain actually on Saturday, although that is a very long way off and we would need to monitor the detail on it. Then on Sunday, another system's having another go at trying to get in. Again, it's pushing up against that big block that's sitting over Scandinavia and back into western Russia. That one doesn't really do much either, but a deep area of low pressure is then forecast to wind itself up on Monday the 26th of January. That's quite a big storm. Will that one push through and finally introduce the westerlies? Well, here it comes on Tuesday the 27th, pushing into the country, but look what happens as we go through to day 10. Wednesday the 28th, that low pressure is not getting in really, it's just sitting over the country, a deep area of low pressure there, but the high pressure up over Scandinavia is winning the battle, keeping it relatively cold. Now I'm not sure if this will be rain or snow with this storm system. It would depend on the exact nature of the air, it's too far away. That's quite an intense area of low pressure, so if it was snow, that would give quite a big dumping. And then as we go through into Thursday the 29th, look at that, the low pressure just slipped away to the south again, and we're putting those easy winds back in. So instead of yesterday's idea that we push the Atlantic through very easily at the end of this week on Friday and into the weekend, no, today's idea is that the Atlantic is being held up by that blocking feature sitting to the northeast. And this is what I always explain in the videos, in the forecast. When you get blocking conditions, when you get cold conditions, the models struggle with it. The reliable time frame comes down probably only to 2 or 3 days out really in some ways, and you just can't look too far ahead in detail because very often proves the case that blocking areas of high pressure and cold air are harder to be shifted away than the models think it will be. EWF, finally, here we are Wednesday, about low pressure coming down across the country, bringing back risk of snow. It slinks away into France as we go through into Thursday, and by Friday we're back into cold air, high pressure sitting there up over Scandinavia, and then the Atlantic has another go at pushing through into Saturday. Again, this one doesn't really come off, it just stalls across the country. Could be rain, could be snow, would depend on the exact nature of the air mass. And then after that, the high pressure tries to build back in from Scandinavia, tries to take over the pattern, but the ECMWF eventually pushes the Atlantic through by day 10, Wednesday the 28th. But that's been put back, of course, by several days compared to what it was yesterday. And the overall idea from the models today is that the high pressure over Scandinavia and the cold air is proving harder to be shifted out of the way. So let's wait and see how this pans out, because I think we could potentially be keeping it cold into the coming weekend, and possibly even into the final week of January, based on what we're seeing from the models this morning. Eventually, I think the Atlantic will probably break through sometime during the final week of January, but keep an eye on that stratospheric warming. If that comes off at the start of February, that could be a real game changer, and it could get very, very, very interesting as we go through into February. So lots to be keeping an eye on. Keep checking back for all the updates. I'll be keeping you informed on how things are planning out, and I'll probably have a snow watch update this evening to see how things are stacking up for Tuesday and Wednesday. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.